I was in class 9 and I was traveling back from my school
Hmm.
in my bus.
Right.
And what usually happens is that while traveling back, we eat snacks and I threw a wrapper. And that's where the uncle said that, are you aware of a concept called as, a bus driver told us
Hmm.
that there's something called as Swachh Bharat. You're not supposed to litter on the road.
Huh.
And that was quite surprising.
It's where people like you come in the picture. It's very important. Like
A lot of women today, when we talk about Atmanirbhar Bharat, a
Hmm.
lot of women, a lot of self-help groups need these good amount of clothes which are in good wearable condition, where
Hmm.
they can cut and make bags out of it, wallets out of it.
Bags,
Jeans is
wallets,
a very good.
gifting options, wrapping options are there.
Yes, when I was in third year, and the major motive of mine was that the bigger companies who generate waste, the bulk company generators, they all have a way of disposing waste. They
Yes,
all
there are
have a
different ways.
recycler
Right.
in place.
Hmm.
But when it comes to consumer, there's no one as such.
No.
The kabaddi walas are there, but
Hmm.
at the same time, they are restricted with few of the resources. By
Hmm.
10 newspapers, 10 days of newspapers,
Okay.
15 days of milk packets,
Hmm.
three bottles, the three plastic bottles.
Yes. Shampoo
That
bottles,
will
your
something.
oil cans.
Yes, absolutely.
Hmm.
The oil covers,
Oil cans.
the
Correct.
courier boxes, the corrugated boxes that you receive from
Easy.
Amazon, the slipper shoes boxes that you get.
Hmm.
And I'm definitely sure like 3 kgs is not a good thing, like just a very minimal thing
Correct.
that's
Correct.
generated in monthly basis.
Correct. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Reverse Talk. My name is Ravya Sarda, and this is brought to you by Reverse Logistics. By Reverse, a logistic company that is building a community, a reusability infrastructure for India. And as we all know, it's important for all of us to think about the growth, profits, and but obvious to get motivated towards our career, right? But when we talk about waste management sector, this is the most disregarded structure in our society, with the filth or the unhygienic surrounding. But there are few people, the world belongs to them, who think more about the society than just revenue figure. And people who are watching our show, I would like to tell them that today we have Ankit with us, who is a young entrepreneur who is converting your waste into recyclable stuff. So, Ankit, whatever I talk about you is like going to be very less. So, can you please introduce yourself to our audience?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Ravya, for actually letting us know how the waste management is one of the field where the real focus needs to be there when
Yeah.
we are the takers or the caretakers of the society as such. My name is Ankit Jain. I run a company called Trash to Cash Innovations India Private Limited.
Right.
We are a startup in Bangalore. It's been 18 months that we've launched our program,
Okay.
and the major motive of the company is to have all the waste recycled
Hmm.
that usually ends up in a landfill,
Right.
and with that turn them into a commodity which becomes a motivation for people to
Okay.
dispose of their waste responsibly.
Oh, that's wonderful. And how old are you again?
Yes. I'm 22.
You are just 22. So imagine, I mean,
Yes.
when I was 22, I think
Uh,
I was so confused at that time, like freshly, coming out of the college and confused,
right.
like what to do, what not to do. And here you are like into this company, I mean, into waste management sector, and you know what your goal is, right? But being just 22-year-old and running an end-to-end waste management company already, I think you're doing a great job. So can you please let us know, or take us through your journey, what motivated you to start Trash to Cash?
Absolutely, Ravya. Thank you so much. So this waste management has been one of my passion from class 9. To be
Okay.
honest, when Swachh Bharat was launched by Narendra Modi ji, this
Ji.
was in 2014 when he won the
Correct.
Prime
Correct.
Minister elections, right?
Hmm.
And that's when I was in class 9 and I was traveling back from my school in my bus. And
Right.
what usually happens is that while traveling back, we eat snacks and I threw a wrapper. And that's where the uncle said that, are you aware of a concept called as, a bus driver told us that there's something called as Swachh Bharat. You're not supposed to litter on the road.
Huh.
And that was quite surprising. That was
Okay.
something that taught me. I'm like, we're in class 9. Being an educated person coming from an ICSE background, but we never taught about waste management,
Correct.
right? And that's when I littered, and later I started becoming cautious. I started understanding what
Hmm.
it basically means to dispose responsibly, or waste is not just a waste, basically, right? So
Correct.
that's when it hit me that this is something we Indians are. It's high time that we are supposed to learn right now,
Correct.
right?
Correct.
And then coming to college, I was more into a lot of social activities. Like social activities have been my passion throughout my life. No
Okay.
matter where it is, I observe a lot, and I feel like this is something that we are all supposed to take care
Hmm.
beyond our personal needs, right?
Right.
Now that's when my passion came in with the waste management sector.
Hmm.
Business has always been my passion too, because I come from a family background of business,
Okay.
right? So why not? So the thought was that why not link somewhere a social activity
Hmm.
which basically generates revenue as well, at the same time becomes a social responsibility too.
Okay. Okay.
So that's when back in college I was a part of Swachh Bharat activities, Rotaract International.
Hmm.
We used to do plog runs, go to parks, collect waste,
Hmm.
and over there, that's where I kind of understood that this waste, when we end up giving out, being like putting in all the efforts for cleaning, we
Okay.
give it out to the collection units as such.
Hmm. Hmm.
Now, if the waste gets mixed together, it
Hmm.
still ends up in a landfill. No matter how clean the place is, it
Right.
still ends up in a landfill. So that's when that was something when back in degree, I studied at Christ University,
Hmm.
and we were told that there's a group called a Center for Social Action into our college,
Okay.
which was basically run by the entire funding, or the housekeeping was run by the CSA,
Okay.
and this CSA would actually raise money through
Hmm.
the waste
Okay.
through the waste that the college generated. We are a campus of like 22,000
Hmm.
students,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
And that was kind of quite moving when I kind of understood that actually all the housekeeping members are being paid, that the salaries are being paid by the waste that they are actually collecting.
Absolutely. Right. Yes.
Now, that was something that shook me that why not this as a business concept? Why restrict it to an institute?
Hmm.
And later, during the time of COVID, I was in my 15th, my third year degree, and
Hmm.
that's when I planned that right now it's
Get
the need
into
of an hour, and I'm supposed to do
this.
something into waste management.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, I
So
mean, what a wonderful way to transform our living space into a better space for our successors, right?
absolutely.
Right.
So that's one of the major motive as such.
Yes. Ankit, I must say here that your company, Trash to Cash, is a waste collector company, right? And in a sophisticated way, we can call it a sophisticated kabadi wala also,
Definitely.
right? Okay.
Yes.
So what are the activities we do in Trash to Cash today?
Okay,
Waste
so
activity.
Trash to Cash started with a motive.
Hmm.
So we see waste everywhere around us, and with the personal story of mine, even at household, we do have a lot of waste that's generated. But
Right.
we, as educated people, we want to always be responsible. We want to understand where is this waste ending up, or even when we're purchasing anything, we make sure right now we are in this conscious world where we see how is it made, cruelty-free, vegan. All
Right.
these concepts have come up, and
Hmm.
waste is one of the things that we all can relate to.
Hmm.
We are
True.
all educated, and we all want to be responsible enough.
Right.
So when I was in third year, and the major motive of mine was that the bigger companies who generate waste, the bulk company generators, they all have a way of disposing waste. They
Yes.
all have a
Traditional ways.
recycler
Right.
in place.
Hmm.
But when it comes to consumer, there's no one as such.
No.
The kabadiwalas are there, but
Hmm.
at the same time, they are restricted with few of the resources,
Right.
few of the capacity in place,
Hmm.
which a lot of them cannot cater to.
But these are
Now,
all
to
the
promote them,
traditional ways, like the kabadi wala.
yes,
Uh,
absolutely,
correct. Yes. Okay.
yes, and they're restricted. They're not much aware of where the waste is actually going to, and all of that process. But
Right.
currently, the public needs transparency onto it. Now that's when we pitched in. We ran a pilot project for 3 months in Bangalore, and
Hmm.
later we understood that we want to start as a company to
Hmm.
provide services to the consumer. Our
Right.
major motive is to have the public on board us.
Okay.
The household waste is something that is one of the major concentration of trash to cash.
Mhm. Okay.
So we
How are you
Yes.
educating people about this then?
Okay, so we basically have a team of 7 people who come into the segregation part of it.
Okay.
These people, when we look at household, when they go for the collection or when a customer shows interest into a product, we go and train them of how the waste needs to be segregated
Okay.
and how we will be collecting them, so
Mm-hmm.
that even they understand the process of how the recycling works as such.
Yes. And it becomes easier, right?
Yes, absolutely. So once we have the waste collected, and later we understood that it just does not stop by collecting the waste, because
Hmm.
we are paying the customer as well.
Right,
Now,
right.
the revenue generation for the company is also very important for
Hmm.
us to go a long way for it, right?
Hmm.
And that's when we established our own recycling unit and a MRF center,
Okay.
material recovery facility.
Hmm.
So currently, we have a material recovery facility located at Magdi Road,
Hmm.
with a capacity of 4 tons of waste recycled as such.
Acha. Okay.
So we collect the waste, and right now we are providing the entire service, end-to-end waste management service of dry waste to
Hmm.
consumers, corporate companies, industries for B2B.
Hmm.
When you say kabadiwalas or the rag pickers across Bangalore, they are one of our vendors as such, that
Okay.
whom we onboard
So
and
you have
train.
collaboration with them also,
Yes,
the local
absolutely.
kabadiwalas, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that's our B2B chain
Hmm.
that comes in bulk as such.
Right, I got that point. You were talking about this concept or initiative by the government, Swachh Bharat Abhiyan. There is
Correct.
also an initiative of Narendra Modi ji, Atmanirbhar Bharat. This initiative,
Correct.
where the women and the housewives of
Absolutely.
the family can bring out more value from the waste and
Correct.
gain some monetary returns from trash to cash. Like, so
Yes.
what are the ways? I mean, how are you upholding the Atmanirbhar Bharat initiative?
Oh, okay. So Atmanirbhar Bharat was one of the initiatives that I used when I started Trash to Cash.
Okay,
So in 2020 is when Narendra Modi ji introduced Atmanirbhar Bharat
right.
after the time of COVID, I guess,
Hmm.
right? When we started boycotting China products,
Uh-huh.
that's when the initiative as well come in,
Hmm.
and that's when I look at household, it's usually the people who live at home, right?
Right.
That's my major focus, because they have to be responsible enough.
Right.
And when Modi ji introduced about how women are basically the caretakers at home,
Hmm.
majority of them,
Hmm.
that was my major focus.
Right.
And that's when we came in with the concept that your waste can
Hmm.
actually generate a wealth
Hmm.
which can actually be reused at your household level as such, for a
Again.
lot of purposes,
Right.
which can save up your expenses,
Hmm.
right?
True.
So
True.
looking at that, when we did a 3-month pilot project, we got to know that monthly one house saves nearly 320 to 360 rupees per
Okay.
month just from their waste
Hmm.
that they earn from us. So
Right.
now a motivation or incentivizing way would be one of the ways that every person would be motivated
Right.
to do something good. And
Everyone
at the same
likes
time,
incentives or
yes,
rewards, right? And cash.
yes,
Why not
it's a
cash?
human nature.
Correct.
Absolutely. Right. And at the same time, it becomes a social responsibility as well, that they feel proud that today we're recycling the waste. We're not just throwing it away.
Absolutely.
So that's how we linked Atmanirbhar Bharat to.
Hmm.
Right, and
Right.
we do have a few projects coming up in the next 3 months, maybe in the month of March or April,
Hmm.
for the household ladies as such, to
Okay.
help them or empower them with a lot of waste activities.
Okay, so this is a wonderful initiative. I must say. I mean, but Ankit, what I feel here is that you are giving a very simple solution to the
Mhm.
recycling process, correct? And this initiative
Correct.
of yours is creating, I must say, a win-win solution for the customers who are selling the trash as well as
Correct.
the recycling plants, correct? But
Absolutely.
however, the biggest winner I think here is Bengaluru, because
Yes.
they have found a novel way to tackle its mounting waste management problem
Correct.
by you, right?
Absolutely. So yes. Ravi, to be very honest, when you look at Bangalore as a place from 2010 to 2022, the rapid growth that has come in the urbanization process,
Right.
everyone has been looking at it, right? But in the same thing, we've not seen that when the population increases, the amount of waste that gets generated as well increases.
Right.
And now government cannot just withhold with their own initiatives as such.
Correct.
And that's where I felt that there is a need of people to take their own initiatives further
Own
to,
responsibility. Right.
yes, own responsibility as such. So why not a private company?
Yeah.
And definitely waste has always been one of the classes where people usually don't want to end up into, right? And that's one of the things that actually need to go out when you actually start into incentivizing people with the waste or with money as such.
Correct.
That
Correct.
waste is not just a waste till the time you think it's
It's
a
a
waste.
resource.
It's a resource.
It's a
It's not a
resource.
burden anymore. Yes.
Absolutely. Ankit, we all know that this
Mhm.
sector is unorganized, but what is the current state of recycling waste worldwide? And
Correct.
अगर हम इंडिया की बात करें, where
Mhm.
does India stand as of now? And one more question, like, how is, trash to cash making use of this opportunity?
Okay, so coming to the first question of yours,
Hmm.
of how the waste management in the world has been currently the recycling facility as such.
Hmm.
Now, recycling is a very basic concept
Hmm.
of turning a finished product
Right.
into its own raw material form.
Hmm.
That's one of the easiest statement I can put recycling into.
Right, right.
Now, this recycling is something
Hmm.
that not all of us are aware of, because 100 things are something that we look into. Career, our own education background, all of that is something that we all look into. Now, recycling is something in a lot of companies. 2000s, in during the 2000s it started because they already had their technology in place, like Germany, France. They all already had this waste management in place because they knew the potential of waste management system, at the
Hmm.
same time of how important a waste management system is
Right.
to run a country,
Hmm.
to save our mother earth, right? So that's when in 2000 the concept of recycling came into. And later when we all started growing, the demand for finished goods, the demand for the economy also started coming up. And that's when the demand of recycling also started coming up in
Okay.
India during the time of 2007, 2008. If you see, a lot of raw materials that comes to India are
Hmm.
sourced from a lot of different countries, like Saudi being one of them. The petroleum product comes from Saudi.
Hmm.
Now we are a dependent country, right? From Middle East is when it comes on.
Hmm.
Now with this recycle field coming into place, a lot of raw materials have been able to get processed in India itself and
Hmm.
been reutilized within India.
Okay.
So the imports of the carbon emission has come down that way as well. So that's
Correct.
one of the major motives, even the paper
Major-
waste,
Yes, yes.
right? So
Got
with recycling process or the waste management, with the technology development coming into place currently,
Hmm.
yes, definitely there has been huge growth that India has seen.
Correct.
But again, looking at the population that India is growing, there is a need of a lot of people to still be responsible onto the waste management part.
Right.
At the same time, support people who are into the
Or
field of
people
waste
who are in
management.
this sector. Correct.
Yes,
How
yes,
is trash to cash, making use of this opportunity?
absolutely. When I said collection of waste was not one of the major deals, we
Hmm.
understood that if there is an incentivizing way, then
Hmm.
there is a way for the reprocessing as well, right?
Okay.
So
Hmm.
what we did is when we started collecting the waste, definitely I was very new to this concept.
Hmm.
It was a start of the journey which I was never aware of.
Hmm.
Now in this waste, there are thousands of types of waste which started coming in. But how do I divide it? How
Hmm.
do I actually recycle and generate revenue was one of the major tasks that we all fought for like 6 months. The entire team fought for it.
Right.
Now, in that process, we understood plastic has 7 different types of plastic.
Hmm.
Now, you look at a water bottle, there are 3 types of plastic in, not just that water bottle.
Yes.
For the normal audience, for the entire public, it's just a plastic water bottle.
Hmm.
But when you have to recycle it, you can directly not just recycle the water bottle.
Correct.
There are processes to segregate that entire plastic, and
Hmm.
only then you can recycle it.
Correct.
So
Correct.
we started segregating plastic into 7 different types according to their material, like PP, LDP, HDP. I'm sure you might have heard of these words.
Yes. Yes.
PET bottles is for water bottles, all of them, right? And the second thing, when it came to paper, paper again has 18 different kinds of paper. So we
Ah.
started classifying paper, where we went to industries of paper who
Hmm.
are well educated of how we can categorize a paper into. We started questioning them. We started trying to get their expertise on how we can segregate
Hmm.
and make a product,
Hmm.
because only then we could actually generate revenue.
Absolutely.
So paper into different 18 types, and then came to glass bottles, another huge bulk of waste that's generated, and hazardous at the same time.
Yes.
So we started understanding colors, colors of the glass bottles, and how the recycling of glass again works.
Mm.
And then the metal waste is something that we were kind of uneasy with because the market already had people into it, right?
Okay. Okay.
Aluminium, steel, mild steel, copper, brass. So these were the few classification that we already knew,
Okay.
and this is how we started segregating. So
Mm.
currently we have a team of 7 to 8 people
Mm.
dedicated with the entire knowledge of how the segregation needs to work, uh,
Mm.
with 28 different bins. So we segregate these waste into 28 different types,
Mm.
and then we recycle them.
Okay. Okay.
So, so the companies that we work with, we understand what is their product requirement,
Mm.
and according to their requirement, we take like a 15-day period to understand their product requirement, and later, according to their requirement, we segregate the waste
Okay. According to the company's
for the
requirement.
recycling.
But you need
Yes,
to
yes,
understand the company first, right? I mean, what kind of
yes,
products are they using? And
correct,
correct. Okay. That
absolutely. So that's where we trashing a trash to cash come into place.
comes in.
So we
Okay.
started doing that, and we started recycling. Milk packets were one of the huge waste people used to throw out. We
Mm.
started providing reverse logistics for a lot of companies as such,
Right.
for a lot of corporate companies too.
Mm.
And so how Trash to Cash has been doing it, in the last 1 year, we were close to 420 tons of dry waste was saved from ending up in a landfill and
Mm.
was recycled successfully by our team.
Wonderful. Yeah. Amazing. So in a way, you're trying to say that recycling industry is also, and has a major impact on the economy and the job market.
Absolutely.
Hmm?
Very true. Yes, yes. When you look at the job market, currently in Bangalore, there
Hmm.
are close to 8,000 people just working as rack pickers in Bangalore.
Correct.
Now you can just imagine how,
Yes.
at the back end, how big battle warriors they are to kind of actually save a Mother Earth from this waste.
Absolutely. Yours is a
Yeah,
green startup, and I must say, your young mind, your young mind, and I mean, you're completely focused towards your goal. When I'm talking to you, this is what I can get.
yes.
Completely focused towards your goal, right?
Right. So like that's how we'll have to be. We
Mm.
as
We need
when you
young
call us
mind.
for interviews.
Yes.
Yes, it's one of the motivation when people call us onto the stage to actually talk about waste management. So
Correct.
that becomes one of the motivation where people.
Yes.
Yes.
Correct. But I like the term sophisticated kabadi wala, which I gave you. So
Right, right, right. Absolutely.
going to use
Yes.
it. Yes. Okay. So let's get back to the podcast. Most of us do not know what happens to the plastic, when we are talking
Correct.
about households. We do not know what happens to the plastic once it gets out of our houses. So, what
Correct.
are the fundamental challenges here, or changes that are required at the household level that can help plastic recycling in a better way? Like,
Understood.
when I say, I can mention that I stopped cutting the corner of the milk packets,
Oh, yes.
right? So,
Right.
what else? I mean,
Okay, so one of the major reasons why we need to look at the ground level, why a lot of waste actually ends up in a landfill today, is
yeah,
that people are not segregating their waste.
yes.
Because the wet waste and the dry
To make
waste
it
is something that we
mandatory,
are
right?
aware of.
Government has
Yes,
made it mandatory, but still, I mean, I don't know. I think,
yes, because waste is burden for people.
yes,
A lot of efforts goes in, right? So
right.
people feel it that way, right? Now,
हाँ,
one of
दो
the
दो
major
डस्टबिन क्या
reasons,
करना है, एक ही
ha,
काफी है, सब एक में डंप
exactly.
दो. The other
Yes,
one is used for, storing something else, the grains or
correct.
some other stuff.
Exactly.
But
So
yeah,
that's one of the major reasons, right? Now the repercussions of that is the climate change that we are already going through, the
hmm,
pollution that we are already seeing, right? Now looking at that, if people actually start segregating their waste
hmm,
responsibly,
hmm,
just dry and wet,
right.
no liquid going into dry waste, that can save close to 65% of the waste ending up in the landfill.
Yeah, true.
Close to 65%,
Please,
right? Now when
people,
I say this,
please. Yes.
Yes, like I would request all the humble audience that actually who's actually looking at this video to make sure that you just segregate. Takes 2 minutes of your time to make sure that this waste is segregated into wet and dry.
Correct.
Now, why waste needs to be segregated is the reason that let's see, take a very simple example of a sambar box that we get from a
Hmm.
restaurant to our home.
Right.
After using this sambar, there is a residue that is into it, right? When you put that into dry waste, in the dry waste, there's paper as well, there's other plastic as well. Now,
Correct.
this sambar residue makes the entire thing worse, and it becomes so unhygienic that no one can even touch it
Yeah.
because segregation is again needed for us as a recycler to do, right?
Correct.
That's
Correct.
when
Give
the
it a
thing
thought.
of rest.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. So if this segregation comes into place, definitely there's a win-win situation for both the customers and a recycler like us. We'll be more than happy to collect the waste
Hmm.
that way,
Correct.
right? And
These
that would be
days
one of
must
the
be one of
things.
the biggest challenge you're facing right now, right?
Yes,
Segregation.
currently as well.
Yes.
Because at an apartment level, you see Bangalore has close to 10,000 apartments.
Yeah.
Now you can look at it where the major of the waste is coming out from,
Hmm.
right? Now at the apartment level, it's the housekeeping who is taking care of the waste.
Correct.
Now, if the housekeeping is not educated, then it becomes really difficult. The
Hmm.
waste still, even if you're segregating outside your home, when it comes to an apartment level, it will still get mixed together.
Correct. Correct.
And that's where the ground reality education comes into place
Hmm.
of how the class of people who are actually working into waste management needs to made aware of that.
Yes.
Disposing waste is not just one of the things,
Correct.
but making responsible choice of
हाँ.
segregation is very important.
करेक्ट. आपको क्या है ना, लोकल हम जनता को लाइक खाया फेंका,
Yes.
खाया फेंका, बट उसके बाद होता क्या है, वो वेस्ट कहाँ जाता है, उसके
हाँ,
बारे में सोचो
कहा
तो
जाता है.
थोड़ा सा सेग्रीगेट करने में
Absolutely.
टाइम ही कितना जाता है.
Exactly. And trust me, once we get into it, this was something that I personally did. Okay. When I was in class 9, 10, I started doing it and I started feeling good. I started feeling that, man, I'm just not being educated right now. I'm being a responsible citizen now.
Responsible citizen.
We all
a happy feeling.
absolutely. Yeah, that's a good feeling as well. So why not give it a thought?
Yes.
And this is not something that we're going to stop it today. It's for a future generation.
Yes, it's for our
Right?
future generation, right?
Future
अभी
generation.
से हम शुरुआत नहीं करेंगे तो कैसे होगा, right? And this
Yes.
is where, you know, people like you come in the picture. It's very important. Like we should have,
Absolutely.
right?
Yes,
So
when we talk about SDGs in place.
right, and this is the mission of our podcast also, because Reverse believes in educating people, you know, spreading awareness about waste management. Yes,
absolutely. I could actually match a lot of thoughts with Mr. Rahul when I met him.
yeah,
Onto the same thing of how reusability can actually be an efficient way
correct.
to make sure that a lot of waste is not wasted as such.
Correct. Okay. So, Ankit, we are talking about the household level, right? I think most of the women would be very happy to know and very interested to know also, like, what is the costliest item that the households are throwing away? जाने अनजाने में आपने फेंक दिया उसको, आपको पता ही नहीं कि कॉस्टली है वो, और you want people to
Correct.
sell it to you, you know, rather than
Right.
throwing it away. These,
Understood.
you know, I want you to name some of the most profitable items to collect and sell for recycling.
Definitely. Okay. So I would just give a list of items that can actually generate a good value for the customer as well, and which is highly recyclable as well.
Okay.
So the first being the milk packets. Definitely, it's one of the very good quality of plastic.
Okay. So people don't know about
that generates.
That generates a good amount of revenue?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
And at the same time, a lot of plastic bottles, like the shampoo bottles that we use on daily basis, that's one of the, again, good quality of plastic that can actually get a good amount.
Okay.
At an household level.
So don't throw it away. Just don't throw it away.
Yes.
Keep it aside, and you can give it for recycling later. Correct.
Yes. And second thing, Ravya, if you don't mind me asking, what do you do with the paper which is waste? Like you tear up the paper, and what do you do with that paper?
Waste paper, like the newspaper?
No, the paper that you've torn. You've torn it. It's no more of use. A scribbled paper that you've used.
I throw it in the dustbin.
You crumble it.
Yes, I crumble.
That's one of the waste that generates a high revenue, good amount of amount for the same.
Okay.
The shredded paper, the cut pieces of paper, this can be highly recycled.
Okay. So people
Yes,
know this कि कौन सा
yes,
आइटम फेंकने से पहले सोच लेना कि रेवेन्यू ज्यादा जनरेट होगी इससे.
absolutely. Even clothes. Clothes
Hmm.
is also something that we all outgrow of, right?
Okay.
After a certain point of time.
Clothes cannot be recycled, right?
So there are two ways. Now, when it comes to clothes, the recycling can happen only once the waste is not in a variable condition.
Okay.
Now, what I would say to the public, this is like a social initiative that this clothes, if it is in variable condition, reach out to us. We have a lot of NGOs who has a requirement of these clothes,
Yes, because
which can be reused.
Okay, yes, the
And-
donation stuff,
and-
right?
Yes, at the same time, it can be upcycled. A lot of women today, when we talk about Atmanirbhar Bharat, a lot of women, a lot of self-help groups need these good amount of clothes which are in good variable condition where they can cut and make bags out of it, wallets out of it.
Bags,
Jeans
wallets,
is a very good.
gifting options, wrapping options are there.
Yes,
Correct. Okay.
yes, absolutely. Why not utilize something of this sort? And that's when reusability comes in place.
Correct.
So that's for clothes.
Yes.
Coming to e-waste, e-waste is another huge field where people feel that it's hazardous. But at the same time, the batteries, the mouses, keyboards are something that can actually generate a good amount of value.
Correct. And how
Once
I think
you
you should
dispose
tell
it as
this to the people, and how, because what happens, what is there in the batteries or
Right.
chargers?
Got it. So when you look at batteries, batteries has lithium. Lithium is one of the chemicals which is hazardous. At the same time, this lithium is in good demand because EV is coming up.
Right.
The electrical phase is coming up, booming across the world. Now, this lithium is required always. And there are industries who are looking for lithium for it. These are for batteries. When we look at keyboards, mouses, and all of that, it's one of the good plastic fiber that comes onto it. That goes into plastic recycling. Metal is the wire that comes out of it, right? So this wire goes into metal industries for fabrication purpose, and again reusing the copper as such.
Absolutely. So I mean, number of products, right?
Yes.
I think people should be educated, aware.
Definitely.
What is to be, what you should segregate, kya segregate karna hai, because these are the household items you can generate a lot of revenue from.
Exactly. Yes. The mops, every household usually have a lot of mops, right?
Right.
The mop which is used to sweep and all of those. Now this mop, every a month and a half is, I guess, when a household replaces after a point of time.
Correct.
This can actually generate a good amount.
How
because it has plastic onto it. So this plastic onto it, there is the metal rod that comes onto it, which is of steel and mild steel both together.
Okay.
And the cloth definitely as such.
Definitely. Okay, I got your point. Okay. No, I thought the traditional jhadu you're talking about.
No, even the traditional jhadu. If you look at the traditional jhadu, there are a lot of brooms that's coming into place, which is of plastic.
Okay.
Now this plastic, it's called
It
a
comes
spin
with the
grade
plastic handle, right? Yes.
Yes, exactly. So that's plastic, and that can be recycled.
Correct. That's some information given from you, and
even the courier packets.
Oh, courier packets.
I'm sorry. The courier covers, the Amazon courier covers that comes into place.
We throw them, right? I mean, cut kiya.
That's
courier aaya.
That's highly. Yes, so that's highly recyclable. That's one of the waste that we segregate into different types, and we recycle them as well. The courier packets, the bubble wrapping that comes into place.
Correct. But isn't it difficult for people to keep so much of trash at home? If you see at household level, आपने इतनी सारी चीजें बताई है, छोटी like paper, the courier things, milk packets.
Very true.
People might find it difficult to keep it.
Correct. So we have a solution for that. Now, when we look at the consumer, we just need minimum of 3 kgs of waste for us to come to your doorstep and have it collected. Just 3 kgs. And how does this 3 kgs happen? By 10 newspapers, 10 days of newspapers.
Okay.
15 days of milk packets. 3 bottles, the 3 plastic bottles.
Yes. Shampoo bottles, your oil cans.
Yes. Absolutely. The oil covers. the
Correct.
courier boxes, the corrugated boxes that you receive from
Easy.
Amazon, the slipper shoes boxes that you get.
Hmm.
And I'm definitely sure like 3 kgs is not a good thing, like just a very
That's
minimal thing
correct.
that's
Correct.
generated in monthly basis.
करेक्ट। तो अब अगर लोगों को whenever you're stressed कि अरे यार मैं इतना कचरा बोल तो रहे हैं I want to do
Correct.
something good for the society, but how will I dump it at my place? कभी कभी ऐसा होता है ना, आपको उतना कचरा देख के आपको लगता है कि यार मैं कितना कबाड़ जमा कर रही हूँ घर में, why not to
Correct.
regularly just dispose it off. So
Yes,
what
yes,
Ankit
yes.
is saying here, minimum 3 kgs.
Absolutely.
Correct.
That's all.
It's an
You
easy.
have 3 more friends. Absolutely. You have 3 other friends into your apartment, and
हाँ,
that becomes a win-win situation.
correct.
They are educated at the same time. At the same time, we collect a good amount of waste as well
Correct.
because our carbon emission comes down that way.
Yes.
It's not for one house we are going, but to different multiple houses that we're
Correct.
going to.
Correct. So, Ankit, this is some big information you're sharing here. If I may ask, how many
Mhm.
people have you employed at Trash to Cash?
Okay.
Because of this initiative of yours, the recycling industry is making an impact, right? But
Correct.
what about the employment generation at Trash to Cash?
Okay, so when you look at how I started in 2021, June is when I started, and I was the only person who kind of knew what this waste management is going to be,
Correct.
because everyone were like, "Why waste?"
Right.
Now the entire task was on me, but then to educate people, how I started educating people is when I had to keep a driver for the logistics team
Okay.
to go collect the waste, right? So a tempo needed a person. Then a
Okay.
helper was needed to collect the waste. Now
Right.
this is how people who come from the logistics background, we
Mm.
started having them into place with our team.
Mm.
And then we started educating them on what is waste. And then we again started getting headbacks that we don't want to work with waste.
Mm.
We started again educating them of how waste is one of the things that is the waste that they will be collecting will actually save their future, will actually save the Mother Earth.
Correct.
And with that, today we are working with 23 people with our, that's the team of ours. We are a team of 23 people at our recycling unit and the segregation unit as such.
Wonderful, yeah. Tell me something. You're doing a great job, as I said, but are you doing this or helping with some kind of motive here or an outcome in your mind, or you're helping without any motive?
Okay, so there are two things, Ravya, for this entire Trash to Cash journey that has taught me for the motive as such. The first motive from the school time was that I always wanted to end up in a social initiative.
Okay.
Like that was the motive. But now to run a social initiative, it just can't be free. You need things in place. You need finance in place, right? Because by talking, it won't not help. It's by the actions, right? Now, the major motive once I started Trash to Cash is that first thing, as I come from a business family, definitely the motive to kind of make it a commodity, generate revenue out of it. By this generation of the revenue, there are hundreds of things that I can do. Right? Correct. Once I generate revenue, I have my fields onto getting people on board who are not privileged enough to kind of enter into this field. Right. Help them out. Help people who are actually looking forward, who have things onto their mind to do something great.
Okay.
And why not push them? That's like how I was pushed by my parents.
Correct.
So that's one of the motive. Second motive, definitely looking at the waste management system in India. If young entrepreneurs, if young people all come together, trust me, the waste that we are all generating will 100% be recycled, and none of the waste will end up in a landfill. So now the second motive is to eradicate this landfill. Now it's a win-win situation where
difficult. I mean, mission to bahut acha hai, but challenges.
It is difficult.
Yes.
Absolutely. Like, to be honest, 20 years, 14 years, like when I got to know about waste in class 9, 14 years of my time, I never disposed waste responsibly. 14 years. Later, the realization came in and I took up this initiative. Now, there are people who have different experiences, right? And it is not going to be easy for them because 20, 25 years down the line, they've just had a very simple thing that waste is waste and they've been ended up throwing it out.
Correct.
Now, once people actually start taking up the initiative,
right,
with time, things will change.
Hmm.
and everything needs time for it,
Yes, I think
right?
at school level also they should start a syllabus,
Absolutely.
proper
And
syllabus.
I'm so glad a lot of schools in Bangalore today. Now,
Mm,
when we started Trash to Cash, if it would have just been a social initiative, a lot
mm,
of people would have been difficult for us to get in their attention. Now
correct.
that we provide our service, free logistics, free
Mm,
service, just 3 kgs minimum,
mm.
students are like, oh my God, just 3 kgs. I
That
have
this is
10
the
friends in
highlight
an
of
apartment.
Trash to Cash. Yes.
Yeah, they collect the waste. I will
Mm,
collect the waste. I will call you. You can
mm,
provide the logistics team and we'll
mm.
collect.
Have
So
you ever
now,
gone
a
to
lot of
collect the trash? घर घर जाके कभी किया है ऐसे? Have you ever done that?
Yes. Oh, absolutely. So, this is one of the things. Till the month of February, our
Mm,
logistics team, as such, from the month of June to February, was
yeah.
a period where we had to take care of the customer's service, at the
Mm,
same time, understand the product, at
mm.
the same time, take care of the facility
Okay.
of the segregation unit, and at the same time, I need to take care of my expenses that I'm actually doing
Ah,
because I'm a new startup. I do not have money to just spend out.
yeah.
Having logistics manager in place or a supervisor in place,
Mm,
no one in place. It
correct.
was just those helpers who were with me.
Correct.
Now, a lot of time, what used to happen is that helpers are not there. They are on their personal leaves,
Mm.
right? And
And
we've given a commitment to the customer because I remember one of the apartments in Whitefield. We've given them a commitment that on Sunday we will be having a drive collecting 12 to 13 households of waste.
okay.
And on the same day, I receive a partner's calls. A partner is basically a helper who helps us in the collection, right?
Huh.
He calls in that, sir, I will not be able to join today because I have work. This
Okay.
was somewhere in the month of September 2021.
Mm.
Now, if I do not, if it becomes a miscommitment, then I lose on these 13 customers,
Mm.
which will go back and then say that Trash to Cash did not provide me service good.
Correct. Correct.
There was a miscommitment. So
Correct.
then I go. It was a very basic thing. Why not? Okay, he's not there. I will go. I'll
Mm.
have the waste collected. Let
Mm.
me go there, pick up the waste.
Okay. You did
And
that.
that's when yes, I do.
Mm.
Even now, today, when a lot of new apartments join in, the
Mm.
helpers are someone who needs a motivation to actually streamline the entire
Yes.
process,
This is the
right?
main thing. Correct. They
Yes.
also
So
need
I
the
go with them.
yes. Mm.
Yeah, I go with them. I tell them, look, this is how you complete the security process.
Mm.
Then you go in. How do you talk to people? That's one of the major things to
Correct. You have
learn.
to educate them. Mm.
Yes, then when we talk to people, it feels good when customers give them back the respect. Trust me, the incredible respect that I have got from customers when we go to their doorstep. I don't think being a millionaire, I would have ever got this respect, to be very
Really?
honest.
Yes. But कभी
Very,
ऐसे
very
हुआ है
true.
लोगों ने बोला what are you doing at such young age collecting waste and something like that? Why?
Definitely.
कि ये क्या कर
Yes,
रहे
yes.
हो
A
ये
lot of
किस काम
people
में
did.
आप लगे हुए हो any kind of such
Correct.
unhealthy response.
Yes, yes. Unhealthy responses when I was actually starting the concept.
Okay.
When I started telling people that I'm coming up with this, he's like, Kachra, देखो ये क्यों करना है?
Mm.
You completed your 15th, man. You completed your bachelor's in economics.
Mm.
You have your dad working, go join him or do a good job.
Yes.
Why with waste? But then eventually I started the education when it started going to.
Okay.
Trust me, everyone was fascinated.
Yeah.
And I got their support too.
Because within 18 months, look at the picture.
Yes, and for that, I would say that if I would have not been on the ground level, when I
Mm.
would have gone to an apartment, spoken to people, collected their waste, and then they asking me that you are coming to collect the waste. So what is the major motive of this? Where is this waste ending up at?
Correct.
Maybe a person who is going to collect might not orient it properly or not show the entire process properly.
Mm.
So that becomes one of the motivation that why when a person is doing with such a passion, why not help him out?
Absolutely. And
And
when
that's
one
something that I'm
person gets
always
educated, that person tries to educate some other person in any
too
other
many of
way,
them.
right? Correct.
Absolutely, very true.
Yeah.
Yes, family members, peer group, corporate offices where they're working at,
Correct.
neighbors. When we're collecting the waste, people say, "Oh, what is this? Something that you're doing with mobile waste?" One of them asked, the neighbor asked, and then
Okay.
they say that I'm giving them the OTP, and then the customer says, "Oh, the neighbor, you're giving an OTP."
Huh.
Hello,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
you get when the neighbor said that for waste you're getting money. That was one of the things that they felt, yeah, technology is in place,
Correct.
कचरा भी निकल रहा है, पैसे भी कमा रहे हैं.
हाँ, घर बैठे
It becomes a
बैठे
good way.
पैसे भी आ रहे हैं. करेक्ट.
Yes, 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 yes.
इट्स नॉट अ बिग अमाउंट, बट आपका हफ्ता भर का सब्जी तो आ ही जाएगा उसमें.
Absolutely.
फ्रूट्स और वेजिटेबल्स तो आ ही जाएगा.
Maybe, absolutely. Even for a housekeeping lady, there are kabadi walas, right? To go out, to step in with so much of weight is not possible, right? At the same time, we are coming to your doorstep, providing you the service. So, वो hassle free भी हो जाता है. At the same time, convenience comes into place,
Correct.
and you're aware of where your wasting is ending up.
Yes,
A
absolutely.
lot of confidential documents which are thrown away.
Right. Okay.
A lot of pictures like the god pictures that are into place, which can no more be used.
Okay. What happens to these pictures then?
Again, when you usually throw up, तो वो दिमाग में रहता है कि people might step onto it.
Yeah.
Now when we're collecting it, it's actually going into a dissolving form. Melt हो रहा है. The ink is removed, and it becomes into a plain format of a paper as such.
Okay.
Yes.
Correct. Because kahin na kahin, whenever like we, people stop themselves from throwing these idols or these
Correct.
pictures, but when this happens, so it's important for them also
Correct.
to what happens later.
Absolutely, that's the major thing.
Correct.
And especially cassettes,
Because
the old
sentiments are there.
cassettes.
Right.
Sentiments are there. Old cassettes, CDs. The older generation is way too more attached to these things, like a radio, tape record, where these cassettes and CDs used to come. That's highly recyclable, which people are still not aware of.
True.
Right?
Correct. Okay, so good amount of information we are getting from you, and I am completely enjoying this conversation. But we'll quickly play a quiz here, and this quiz is about recycling only. So you only have to say yes or no. Okay.
Okay.
So is aluminium foil recyclable?
Yes.
So just to be sure, like you can clean off the leftover food before tossing plastics, tin foil in the recycling bin. Correct. Are plastic bags recycled?
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
Are plastic bags are recyclable?
Yes. Plastic bags are
recyclable. Yes.
Correct. Okay. Are milk cartons recyclable?
It is.
Correct. But people should make sure that all the milk is out before you toss it in the recycling.
Or normal rinse. That's all.
Normal
the residue is not supposed to be there.
Correct. Now, are baby wipes recyclable?
Okay, if it is in used condition, then it's going to go under rejected waste. That's going to go under incineration.
Correct.
But if these baby wipes are not used, then it's recyclable.
Correct. But
if it's out of expiry as such.
Right. But your best bet is to like toss the baby wipes in the trash after they are used. Correct.
Yes, separately.
Correct. Are clothes recyclable?
Yes, it is highly recyclable. Depending on what cloth it is.
Okay. Recyclable.
Cotton, silk.
Okay.
But I would always recommend that a cloth should be upcycled than going into the process of recycling.
Correct. Because while you cannot throw the clothes in your recycling bin, I think, I always thought this, there are sustainable ways to get rid of unwanted clothes, like donating them to charity or upcycling them.
Yes.
Correct. Are books recyclable?
Yes, highly recyclable.
And as said by Ankit, they generate a lot of revenue. Paper, books are recyclable. Correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Shampoo bottles, are they recyclable?
Oh, yes, highly recyclable.
Yes. And batteries. What about the batteries?
Okay. Batteries go to these companies. There are particular industries who take them for recycling. But it's recyclable.
Yes, but people should know that don't throw away the dead remote batteries into your recycling bin, right? You need recycling batteries also. Take them to places like, there are these places called Radio Shack or...
yes.
Correct.
Definitely.
Where these recycling battery programs takes place. Okay. So one more important thing, are those cotton swabs, are they
Uh-huh.
recyclable?
Uh, if it is used, it's not recyclable.
No. Correct.
No.
Okay. So, but I think it's biodegradable to, um, is
To
it?
some extent, yes.
Okay.
Depends. It's subjective depending on what material it is.
Right.
Natural cotton, synthetic cotton,
Correct. Okay. Cotton swabs पूछ लिया मैंने. Now tell me what about the plastic bottles?
highly recyclable.
And last but not the least, the gums, the chewing gums.
Mhm.
People just
Not
put
recyclable.
here and there. No,
Not
right?
recyclable.
So people always toss your chewed gum in the trash instead of, throwing it in recycling bin.
Correct.
Correct?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Very true.
Okay.
Thank you for this information, Ravi, about chewing gum. It's one of the major things a lot of us actually tend to do.
Correct. Because
Uh,
yes, I mean, yeah, this information was necessary. I always had this in my mind. कि अरे,
correct.
पता है, कहाँ फेंके कहाँ इसको. Great.
Correct.
So,
Correct. Correct.
Ankit, it was a wonderful session, and I'm so glad you gave us your time today, and you have come to our session. Thank you for joining us. And Trash to Cash is making recycling process easier in India, from taking up end-to-end waste management projects to collecting rejected goods items from your homes. So this initiative, Trash to Cash initiative, they're attempting to get more and more people to recycle regularly. So
Absolutely.
thank you again for joining us, and I hope you enjoyed
My
the.
pleasure, Ravya. Absolutely. Thank you so much for inviting me over here. And I hope all the questions that were asked was full to the knowledge, and at the same time, a good amount of information was passed.
Good amount of information. Thank you again.
Yes.